gorgeous? Does that funk have you feeling stuck? Have you questioning your purpose, or even yet having you asking if your best years are behind you? Girl, you have zero obligation to stay in that funk. This podcast is for women who want to get the funk out of here, who want to play bigger, ask for more, and step out of mediocrity. Imagine a life filled with lots of energy, excitement, and filled with spunk instead of that funk. This is the Unfunk Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Crystal. Let's go! Hello, amazing friends. I hope your week is going well. We are headed into the Thanksgiving holiday this week here in the States, which means family, food, and kids are out of school. And it's a time where we focus on giving thanks. Giving thanks for a multitude of things like our health, food on the table, and the list goes on. Different families do this in different ways. My favorite way shared with me is putting a jar for each person in the family on the dining room table or wherever, because I think I saw somewhere that most houses no longer have dining rooms anymore. Anyways, put it wherever you want to. But throughout the year, you drop your little notes in the jar of the person when you notice you're thankful for them. And then on Thanksgiving, each person dumps out their respective notes and reads each one aloud. Isn't that cool? Or you could even do this with people coming over for Thanksgiving. Put a jar out and label it with each person's name that's coming over for Thanksgiving, and then have each guest write why they're thankful for each person and put it in the respective jar. That would be something great to do after or before Thanksgiving dinner, right? It is shown that during the Thanksgiving holiday, if you live in the States, you will likely give thanks for the same things as your friends and neighbors. A roof over your head, food on the table, friends and family, freedom, good health, and the air you breathe. Yet it's often said we don't fully appreciate those things that we give thanks for until we no longer have them. And this is what Bronnie Ware, hospice nurse and author of the Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, echoes in her book. She said, "Health brings freedom very few realize until they no longer have it." And she shared one of the most common answers her patients shared as a regret. It was, "I wish I had lived a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." Now, she was an in-home caregiver who looked after people who were dying. And she did this for 8 years. So you can imagine the number of people she cared for. And this was one of their most common regrets. Now, if you were in Bronnie's care today, would you express that same regret? Or are you going to be the one this Thanksgiving giving thanks for living your life in an authentic way and forging your own unique path? This got me wondering, how do you know if you're really living life authentically? One way living authentically was described in my search said being true to yourself, embracing your values, and aligning your actions with your innermost beliefs. And another search gave me 7 signs that could indicate you're living authentically. And here they are. The first one, you're living in alignment with your values, which means your choices and your actions resonate with your core values and reflect what truly matters to you. The second one is you have a sense of inner fulfillment. This sense of fulfillment and satisfaction stems from pursuing what genuinely makes you happy. And the third one is one of my favorites. You're very self-aware. You have a deep understanding of yourself, recognizing your strengths, weaknesses, and motivations. And number 4, we touched on a little bit last episode. We must not forget courage. When you're living life authentically, one of the signs it said was you have the courage to be yourself. You're unafraid to express your true self, even if it means going against the norm. Actually, I'm convinced this is why so many entertainers, actors become famous, because they were unafraid and had courage to be themselves. Jim Carrey always comes to mind. He injected so much laughter and comedy into his roles, and it was later shared that he improvised so many of his scenes and just went completely off script and did his own thing. It's those moments where he really shines on the big screen because he had the courage to be himself. Another sign is you actually find joy in the journey. Instead of making it just about the end result, you actually enjoy the process of pursuing your goals and dreams. It's the process that brings you joy. Another sign, you know your boundaries and you know when to say yes, no, back up. And finally, the last sign, you are open to growth. You have a willingness to constantly evolve as you learn more about yourself. These are great signs as you start out in your journey to identify if you're living authentically and intentionally. Sometimes I think it's just that we get caught up in our day-to-day and lose sight of these signs. Those dying patients Bronnie Ware spoke about in her book regretted not designing their own personal journey, their life, just following the crowd or what their parents mapped out for them, not living the way in a way that felt genuine. And Bronnie Ware even shared her takeaway, which was, it is very important to try and honor at least some of your dreams along the way before it's too late. Whoa! Bronnie Ware just said in a nutshell that time is a factor too in living out our dreams. In the day-to-day grind, the routine, it's easy to lose sight of what's most important to you, especially if you have kids. It's easy to put their life before yours, but we are reminded that we do have limited time here on this earth. It is the one truth. We will all die. Some are labeling it as mortality motivation. When you're aware of your own mortality, it starts to put into perspective what is important to you. It is that motivation to not let those small things take over your days. Let the small things go and turn your attention to who you are trying to become. Live into that. Direct your actions towards growing that woman instead of keeping her out of sight. She definitely wants to meet you and wants you to start living in a way that serves her because time is ticking. What comes up for you when I share the words mortality motivation? Have you not thought about dying? Will you be able to give thanks this holiday for all the action you've taken, big or small, that is honoring your dream? Take some time to list these actions out over the past year on a piece of paper. And you have to write them down because I learned that when you write something down, it moves things into the executive part of your brain so you can remember it. After you write them down, ask if you're satisfied with the amount of time you've dedicated, your progress toward honoring your dream, or are you left wanting to turn it up a notch? Consider how meticulously you've safeguarded yourself and your loved ones. Helmets, sunscreen, seatbelts, all to protect yours and their well-being. Yet this same meticulous care often doesn't extend to nurturing and growing your life. Imagine if our ancestors only focused on shielding their tents and food supply. We wouldn't have the society and comforts we enjoy today. Spending your days solely on defense without action towards your goals, designing your life, or pursuing hobbies can unknowingly lead to a series of small steps towards that looming funk. Remember, small steps compound into significant ones, and before you know it, you'll be caught in that big old funk. And instead of having made a few deposits into your future self today and yesterday, you will be forced to try and cram. You remember cramming for a test back in the day because you waited until the night before the test to study? It's the same concept. Instead of dedicating small amounts of time or small intentional efforts towards your intentional life, you wait until you're in that big old funk to start cramming to live in a new and reinvented way. I feel confident that it will be difficult to find joy in that journey because you're rushed or you feel rushed. Time will not be on your side. You will find yourself in a much more reactive state instead of that abundant state where you're reaping from the seeds you have planted along the way. Those patients spoke to Bronnie Ware and admitted to making deposits into a life that was not their design. Ultimately, they regretted living their life relatively unexamined. They moved in and out of their days, whether it was to make their parents proud, to show the world their life with luxury things, or something as simple as living and working to support their family. They never stopped to examine their life, their journey, and what would have actually made them thrive, made them feel alive in their lifetime until it was too late. Be encouraged and empowered to become a mad scientist. Look under your microscope, examine your life, and become relentless in your pursuit to intentionally live it. Use those 7 signs as guideposts if you want. And I've said this before, but it's not the same for everyone. It's not going to look like everyone else's. You will have your own design that works for you, and someone else's may look completely different. Do not compare yours to theirs. And over the course of time, it may change. You have a lot of responsibilities throughout the course of your life, but you must make one of those responsibilities to pay attention. To pay attention to your life, your dreams. Pay attention to your struggles, what you learned, and equally so, pay attention to your triumphs and how it propelled you forward. Your life is the classroom, and you, my friend, are the teacher. It's listening. It's learning everything you are teaching it. It is taking action based on your direction, your teachings. Let your direction and your teachings be wise. And don't lose sight of the mortality motivation. Don't bring things that are not serving you or anyone else into your classroom. You don't have time for that. It's true that it's never too late to be who you want to be or start the thing you want to start, but you will indeed have limited time to live into it the more you delay action towards honoring it. And if you have limited time, why not start on it so you aren't trying to cram it into later? Having limited time is not an excuse. It is not a barrier to designing the life you desire. You have to decide to step away from the daily grind for a moment to examine what you're living for. Let it be that mortality motivation that we spoke about earlier that encourages you to take bolder steps towards those dreams. Empower yourself. Shift your mindset to reclaim control over your time. Prioritize what truly matters and craft a life aligned with your authentic self. You can listen to people like me pump you up, get you motivated. You can read all the quotes and feel inspired. But you must take action, consistent action that aligns with your values. Pursue what genuinely makes you happy and find joy in the journey and be open to growth. Use Bronnie Ware's book and her insight as a catalyst towards designing a meaningful life. We do all get limited time here on earth. Why not jump over to the trail that leads you towards fulfillment, exhilaration, more meaning, more peace, more aliveness, more energy, so that when you are lying on your deathbed talking to your Bronnie, you're able to tell her you chose the life you lived and that you are elated to sign off as the author of your story. It's like you saying on your way out, "Peace out, life. I lived you the way that I designed it and held my creator's hand the entire way." Okay, ladies, thanks for another episode of Unfunk Your Mind. Give thanks for all the action you have taken to honor your dreams. And if that action or those actions are not quite at the level you want, focus on making more deposits. Get out your dream jar and put a note in it every time you complete an action towards honoring your dreams. And be prepared to read them out loud next Thanksgiving holiday. There is still time left, but because we don't know how much, let's make the most of what we got. Time to go after it, and let's go and stay out of that funk.
My mom is not a doctor or a psychologist. This podcast is meant for motivational and inspirational purposes only.
Before you go, Superwoman, I'd love it if you took a little action for me. Like subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. Also, share the episode with a friend. And as a thank you, hit up my website, unfunkyourmind.com. That's right, unfunkyourmind.com to grab free journal prompts. Okay, ladies, now is the time to go unfunk your mind. Play bigger and ask for more. Open the door to possibility and cancel playing small. So get up and go.